We are in prime flower planting season, and we have the pulse on what is new and now at the Garden Center. Today, we're getting a first look at new annual varieties, new colors, and new combos that will make your front yard pop. Brian Lloyd with Olson's Greenhouse is here to show us what's in. Are you like shaky with excitement?
I drove up here with all this color in my car. It's a little bit cloudy day, but my car was bursting with color. It just put me in such a good mood.
You've made the studio, all of us, in a good mood today with this bright, beautiful color. In fact, tons of eye candy in the studio today. But gardeners are excited. I saw a meme over the weekend that said, for those of you who miss the thrill and the rush of like in-person Black Friday, you have the Garden Center on Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We're feeling it.
Way bigger rush.
Yeah.
So many people, and it seems like this year, I don't know if it's things going on in the world or in the financial markets, but for some reason, I see a lot more new gardeners, and we're happy to have them. It's a great place to be.
I think you're onto something. There is a psychology to it, because as you referenced, our mood in the studio went up with these beautiful new flowers that you can shop now. We're going to talk about them. What would you describe as the vibe this year in terms of the new options?
Well, I think it's there are some unique things. There's some improvements, but I'm really excited about a couple things. So I would say the vibe is super optimistic for intense, bursting color.
I'm seeing tons of color that you brought, and you're right, some cool shapes too, some cool textures that we'll get into. And these are available now.
Yes, these are all in stores, but only in our markets, so we'll talk about that right here.
Okay, let's start. What's first?
So the way flowers kind of work, flower breeding, is a breeder will come up with a new color, but that's only half the battle. They have to make sure that it's going to be able, that they can produce it, that they can grow the numbers, and that takes a few years. And so this first variety, these are both the same variety. They're called calaburst. They're actually a cross between a petunia and a calabricoa, so they get the best features of both. But this color right here, this pink with a yellow center, is a brand new color, and we have it at Olson's Greenhouse just in Utah as a pre-release. So it doesn't even release till the market till next year across the nation. But because we work so closely with breeders, Brooke, and we have trial gardens, they've released the pre-release numbers here. It doesn't even have a name yet. So I know how you are with names.
You know that I want to name a flower
one
day.
Let's name it. Let's do it. I'll send it to the breeder, and we'll see. So you think about that.
I've arrived. No, and you were so humble and subtle, but what you're saying is Olson's Greenhouse is kind of it. Like, you guys are inside.
We have the exclusive inside track because we are trialing things in our gardens just to make sure that they're going to perform before we release them to the market.
So we can go to Olson's Greenhouse and get this, or what?
Actually, we're sending it into stores. So these are all at Home Depots right now.
Utah Home Depots.
Yeah.
Oh, so exciting. That pink is punchy.
So Pecoa is awesome. It's kind of a cross between petunia and calabricoa.
Love it.
Now we talk about true petunias.
Dying. This is gorgeous.
This is the biggest bloom wave petunia, and it's also a pre-release. Again, doesn't release to the nation until next year. This is called Pink Pearl. So an easy wave petunia, it spreads. Each plant will get 2 feet. This is only got a couple plants in it, and it's already spread like that. You can imagine it out in your flower beds.
I want this everywhere.
It's just a beautiful color. They describe it, the breeder describes it as elegant. I like just that color shade pink. It will fade out in our bright light to the lighter colors, lighter shades, but it's still stunning because of that bloom size.
Well, I sometimes shy away from, like, quote, purple flowers. They feel a little like too wow for me, but this is soft, and like you said, as it fades, we'll take on that neutral, but the bloom, like the diameter, is so stunning.
Yeah, that's cool.
Love it, love it. Okay,
and
what's
we go from there in wave petunias to the smallest flower wave, and they call these shockwave. There's a whole series of shockwave, but this is a new color called rose vein that just, it's kind of like a calabricoa, but it is a true petunia, so it performs like a petunia, which is great, but it's that intense, deep color in the middle that I like to pair with something else that we'll show you this Sunpatian next, that I think it just goes really well with and pulls that center out.
It complements so perfectly, yeah.
Yeah. So easy wave rose vein.
Yes.
And then we have Sunpatians. Now Sunpatians are the coolest flower. For a long time, impatiens were only for the shade. Sunpatians came out about 10, 12 years ago.
Sunpatians.
And you can grow them in sun or shade. And I've got the perfect spot in my front yard that I could never solve because it only gets full sun for part of the year, part of the summer, and then it goes to full shade. And everything I put there would stop blooming, and it's in a bed. So this is the perfect solution. If you've got one of those crossover areas, or if you just have full sun or full shade, this works great.
Where things start to bloom around it mid-season and you have to adjust. Well, they look really beautiful together, as you pointed out. And I love when you do this flower parade for us every year, Brian, but what I also appreciate is the chance just to stop and stare. Like the detail on some of these flowers, you would walk right past in the garden center, and we tend to appreciate the color, but the detail and the beauty in these blooms is really something special.
They are special. And this new variety of Sunpatian has been bred for bigger blooms too, so even more color.
This next one is a phlox. It's called Candy Cloud.
Yeah, Candy Cloud is a cross between creeping phlox and woodland phlox. Creeping phlox is a full sun. It's in full bloom right now. You see it everywhere. But the woodland phlox is more of a part sun, but it only comes in like lavender color. And now they've crossed the two to get the best attributes of both. And now this new, you can get these intense colors if you have a part sun situation. So if you've always liked creeping phlox, but you don't have a lot of sunlight in your yard, try this new Candy Cloud phlox. It's a phlox hybrid, and it will work great in part sun situations and bring a pop of color to the shade.
I like that you're diagnosing our garden spaces as we celebrate these new flowers. I can feel people's excitement through the screen. I can. This is a pretty one too.
Yeah, this is a new Snapdragon, double snap, which is weird because it doesn't snap anymore. So I don't know what they're going to call it now.
A double snap.
But it's bred to be later blooming and more heat tolerant than traditional snaps. So we love Snapdragons in the early spring, but in our hot summers, they start to go out of bloom and set seeds. Don't look as great. This one is bred to hold the heat. We'll see. It's already done great in our trial gardens last summer. I'm going to put it in my yard this year, and then it's got these huge blooms because of that doubleness.
So this feels like a strategy play. Like if you want some color and some flower later in the season when it gets really hot, this might be your grab.
And double benefit, it's extremely fragrant. They say it's not putting a lot of fragrance right now, but you can smell it if your sniffer's good.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
But I think more in the evenings is when more of the fragrance comes out. So
that's a win.
Double benefit.
I talked about unique shapes and textures. This one takes the cake.
These things are like flying off the shelves. We've had these in stores for a couple of weeks now. I talked about them on the radio. I'm just infatuated.
Wow.
It's a dahlia, but it's got this firework going on in the center of it.
This is a stop and stare moment. Look at your screen. Oh my goodness.
It's like a combination between a single and a double flower. They call it pink burst because that center of the flower is just bursting out.
Yeah. So, all right, from pink burst to fire burst.
Again, in the same series, but just totally different mood because this is bright yellow.
This is kind of stressing me out. I'm not gonna lie.
and different flowers will do that for different people, but this one's flying off the shelves too, and it's just because of this fluorescence going on in the center and that burst of yellow coming out.
I realize someone is having the same reaction to fire burst as I did to pink burst, so I don't want to offend anyone out there, but that's not my cup of tea. But the pink burst, I could stare at all day.
But they are cool breeding. You can't lie about that. So,
okay, hydrangea is kind of the coveted, I think, flower of every woman.
They do great, and these are mop head hydrangeas or big leaf hydrangeas. They do great on the East Coast. They don't do great in Utah in the landscape.
Right.
But they do great as container plants. And here we have a new variety that's actually called cascading or trailing. It's a haba variety.
Okay.
And you can put it in a hanging basket and it will kind of trail over the edge, still get those big, huge mop head blooms. But in Utah, we just need to give them a little more shade than they do in the East Coast. And so as long as we give them full shade or just a couple hours of morning sun, these perform excellently, and they'll bloom late into the summer, and then you can keep the blooms on because I think they're interesting even as they fade in their color just to a greener color. They still have some interest. So this is a cool plant that will last all season long in a container. So just treat it as an annual and you'll be good to go.
They're lovely. They almost look fake, and that's a compliment. That's a compliment. These are all so gorgeous. Kay, remind us how, last year I got mildly chewed out by a garden center director saying, could you give us a heads up when you're going to talk about this before people start running in and asking? But I didn't. I'm sorry. No heads up this year. Remind us where we can get these and what we're looking for.
Well, these are all available in stores right now at Home Depots, and Olson's Greenhouse sells to Home Depots across the West. And so you can find them there, but these new colors, a lot of them are going fast. And they've been in stores for a week or two. So get in there now, and I've got more tips on growing each of these on our YouTube channel, Dig in the Yard. All
right, Dig in the Yard. We'll link you over to that from our website so you can totally not just appreciate these, but also know how to take care of these. And everybody go get your fire burst and save me some pink burst. That's how we're going to work this out. Thank you so much, Brian. Awesome preview.